That's good. As you guys are hopping on, mute yourself and we will get started. Thank you guys for tuning in. Happy Thursday, June the 11th. There has been a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if you guys have been tapping into all of the trainings that corporate has been providing, but every Tuesday night there's a new presenter training that they do. They've been going live in the Unique Presenters Only page, and there's been a lot of tips and tricks, a lot of different things going on. But it is kind of like the summer months, and maybe you're feeling like it's a little bit slower. And this is what I wanted to say about that. It's slower across the board just from the way the last 2 months were, but it's not slow in comparison to all the other Junes that I've been through. Usually in the summer, they call it the summer slump. And a lot of sales companies always talk about how the J months are the hard months, January, June, and July. Some of that is mindset, but I just think in general, in our industry, I don't know about you guys, I wear less makeup in the summertime. I don't cake it on. I barely use foundation at all, and that's only in the evening if I'm going out with my friends or, you know, out on a date night or something. So I'm not usually running through it as much, and that's part of the reason why. But it's a great time to focus on some of our skincare line, showing them the rose water, showing them our SPF veil. It's a SPF 25, I believe. And just to explain what SPF means as like a little bit of education, the number on the SPF is not indicative of its strength. The number on the SPF is indicative of how long it will last on your skin before you need to reapply. So if you have an SPF of 50, that doesn't mean 50 minutes. That means, or that doesn't mean that it's half as strong as SPF 100. It means that you take how many minutes you can be outside in the sun until you burn. Let's just say for the average person, after 10 minutes, their skin starts to feel the effects of the sun. You take that number by the SPF, and that tells you how many minutes you can be in the sun. So if you have a 10-minute sun exposure factor, you take your SPF of 50, that gives you 500 minutes in the sun before you need to reapply. Do you guys understand that? So if anybody, like if it has an SPF and you put your SPF on in the morning, by the time you hit lunch, any SPF that you're using on your face, because usually they're about a 30, is gone by lunchtime. Everyone should know this, and this is a great way for you to bring that up to people that they should be reapplying. Our SPF is very lightweight. It's not greasy on the face like a lot of other face SPFs. You know, you've tried them and you feel like you're wearing like an oil slick on your face all day long and your skin can't breathe. If you haven't tried it, I would advocate that you test it out because it is very lightweight, and it's a great thing to have if you're not wearing a lot of foundation and you want to make sure that you're protected. Okay. Powders give you a natural SPF, like if you use the pressed powder or the loose powder or the setting powder, just because that mineral texture also acts as an SPF, but none of our other foundations have SPF in them. So it might be a great time to start that conversation. Rose water, SPF, sugar scrub for the lips. These are the products that I would be focusing on, knowing that people aren't wearing as much makeup in the heat. Also, setting spray would be a really good thing to focus on because it's going to help that seal in the makeup moving out as you're going outside and going back and forth from hot to cold between the air conditioning and the humidity. Okay, so those are just a few selling tips that I wanted to share with you guys as we transition into summer months. Your makeup changes just like it will again in the winter. And also you might want to let people know that they're probably a different color in their foundation. A lot of people, if they bought foundation from you back in November or December, they were buying their winter color. And as people go out, they naturally get 2 shades darker. They can get up to 2 shades darker. I do, because I'm a sun worshiper. I can't help it. I know it's bad, but I can't help it. I need the vitamin D. So I go from taffeta in the winter to satin in the summer. it'd be a great time to bring up that conversation too. Follow up with any customers that have bought foundation from you just as a check-in to see if the foundation still matches now that you're getting outside and getting some sun. That's a courtesy, right? That's how you show that you care. That's how you show that you're thinking about them. And that's one of my pro tips for getting people that bought winter colors in the summer and people that bought summer colors in the winter. So you kind of can create this revolving door, okay? One of the things that I was thinking about is, and I've talked to you guys about this a lot, I think that pretty much anything in this business can be learned, whether it's sales or recruiting or leadership, the organization. These are very tangible things that you can learn with a quick Google search or a book. I think that the thing that is harder for us to learn is our mental hangups and the way that we see the world based on how we've grown up. And I wanted to share one of my hangups. Maybe you can relate to it. I'm only sharing this because for some of you it might be happening to you, and light bulb might go off. So from the time I was 4 years old, I had to be a survivor, a literal survivor. And so my childhood conditioned me to be in that survival mode and always know that there was no safety. There was no safe sleeping beds at night. You know, you were always on alert. You were always at risk. But that also solidified in me this independence, this I can figure it out. I don't need any help. Nobody co-signed on my first car. You know, I had nobody to help me when I moved out at 17 and had to get my GED. Like, I had no support whatsoever. It was sink or swim my whole life. So when I started this business, I came into the business with that mentality. I don't need any help. I can figure this out all on my own. I've got a lot of life experience. I know I've got this, right? I believed that I could. And I also still had those old hangups of,
For Irwin Contracting,
it was kind of like, independence is a great thing, but even too much of a good thing can turn into a bad thing, right? So it had been something I needed for my survival, but when I moved into a business that was on networking, it became a limiting factor for me in my success, and it slowed me down a lot because I didn't value any of the resources that were being given to me, and I ended up spending hours and hours and hours of time creating my own resources, studying, like going down the rabbit hole on YouTube. And meanwhile, my leaders had already had a lot of this stuff, but I guess it was a pride thing. My ego needed for me to be able to do it, to feel good enough, like I deserve it because I did the hard work. Well, I wasn't working smarter. I was working harder for the sake of working harder, because that is how I thought life should be. Thought you had to struggle. I thought you had to work for it. I thought you had to fail over and over and over again. And it wasn't until I opened myself up to being a student instead of a survivor that I became vulnerable enough to allow other people's opinions into my success. Does that make sense? I hope so, because my ego was blocking me from people that could help me in this business. And in our business, it's something called being coachable. If someone offers you a suggestion, pay attention to if you immediately shut it down without actually trying it, or without actually seeing if it would apply to your life, because that's a closed mindset. You're not open to getting suggestions. So when your business isn't working, many of you will get frustrated, and reality is there were lots of people that were trying to give you help along the way, but you closed them off. And there's a story, I forget who I was talking to. I don't know if Chris is on here. I think it was to Chris, that I remember hearing when I was little about the flood and the man who climbed up onto the top of his house. And a boat came by and said, "Hey, dude, do you need to be saved?" And he said, "No, God's going to save me. I'm just going to keep praying on it." And then another bigger boat, like with lifeguards and stuff, comes by as the water starts creeping up, and they offer to save him, and he says, no, I'm still praying on it, God's going to save me. And then a helicopter drops a ladder down and says, this is your last chance, we're not making any more sweeps. And the guy says, no, I'm believing God will save me. Well, the man ends up drowning, goes to heaven, and says, God, I thought you were going to save me. And God says, well, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What else was I supposed to do for you? Sometimes we are just closed off to the things that are designed to help us. And it's because, we're programmed to play safe and secure. And this is my boundary. And I'm only comfortable doing it this way on these terms. And a lot of your success is going to be on the other side of these kind of hangups. So once I realized that I was my own worst enemy and I was closed off to other people's suggestion, I became a sponge. And I literally started reaching out to anybody, asking them for help. The old Marie wouldn't ask. I don't know how to ask for help. That's not in my vocabulary. Right? But the new Marie, if I see somebody doing something amazing, the new Marie is open enough to say, hey, how are you doing that? Let me take a look at this, right? So yes, every single one of you is super smart, super talented, beautiful, and amazing, right? And I believe in you. And I think that you could learn anything that you needed to learn in this business. But how long will it take you if you go at it alone? How many months, how many years will it take you to learn some of these lessons on your own, by yourself? I guarantee you it will be longer than if you decided to link arms with all these other amazing women who bring talent and knowledge and skills to the drawing board. And together we all are holding these little puzzle pieces. So that's where I don't know if you guys have noticed, the last few team calls, I've had somebody else sharing a little bit of their testimony and what they've been doing in their business for that very reason, because I believe in each and every one of you, there are some skills that I don't possess because I haven't walked in your life. Right? So I'm excited to hear about that. And this week I asked Susan Barnett Lombardo, I don't know which one to call you because your Zoom says Barnett, but your profile says Lombardo. So we're just going to go with Susan Barnett Lombardo to come on and share with you guys, because let me tell you, let me warm this up. Let me spice this up for you and why you need to get your pen and paper out and pay attention. Susan signed up April 30th. And has sold over $6,000 in products since she signed up. Okay? So remember, success leaves clues. And when you see somebody doing something pretty amazing, rather than be like, lean in. Because if they're willing to share, it could be what's changing your business too. All right. So, Susan, I'm excited to hear what you have to say because, girl, $6,000 in 45 days is amazing. So why don't you go ahead and tell the team, spill the tea.
Hey guys, so I'm Susan Barnett legally, but I'm divorced from that last name, so I can't, it's hard to explain, but I embrace Lombardo because that is who I originally am. So just a little back information. I started over a year ago. I signed under April Winters, and I wasn't ready. I got the kit. I was like, I'm not selling anything. I mean, I thought I could do it, but I was going through a whole lot of personal growth. So I was like, me and April would constantly touch base with me, make sure I was okay, all of that, but I wasn't ready. So I think, being ready is definitely something that you need to be open to. You can't, there's a season for everything. And I truly believe that. So I do have another marketing company that I work with. And so I had a good relationship, a good base, a good warm market to start with. And I think that helped me quite a bit, but not in the capacity to which I'm going now, obviously. So I wrote down a few things that I think are helpful. Just take it as it is, I guess. My very first thing is you need to be a brand ambassador. So whatever you want your company to be, you need to show that. You need to protrude that. You need to make sure in your life that's what you're showing people. I was in a 13-year marriage where I was very, it was a bad situation, and I got out of it and I had no self-esteem, no nothing. And now people who knew me during that time, they see me and they're like, she's a different person. You know what I mean? So I'm selling my brand because I'm being my brand. So I think that's super important. You want to portray yourself as the person that you want your customer to see. Because I'll tell you what, I've had people even message me and say, I don't know what you're doing, but I want some of that. And it's, and then that leads into the conversation, but then it also ultimately leads into, this company has done so much to help me grow. So being my brand ambassador is really important, making sure I only put the positivity out in the world that I want to receive. I think that's, number one. Number two is you have to be relatable. People have to see your mess. You know what I mean? Nobody wants this girl who's like perfect. They don't want to see you and you're always perfect. And because people know that's not reality. I have 3 kids. I have an 18-year-old son who's a pain in the ass. Like my life is very relatable, and I try to, we do everything on social media. So on social media, I make sure people see that I'm a mess, and I think that when they see she's a mess, but she's still doing this, they're buying into it, and creating relationships. I think that it's so important, you can put stuff out there all day long, but if you're not aiming directly at people, they're just going to scroll right past it. They're going to be like, that has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me. But if you see something on your Facebook feed or Instagram or wherever you choose to do it, and you see it's somebody's kid's birthday, hey, happy birthday. I hope they have a great day, or if you see somebody's having a hard time, just give a little bit of, oh, I hope, everything's okay. If there's anything I can do, I'm here. You have to build relationships because you have to have a market. That's what this is all about. But the third thing, and it's, it is what it is, you have to work. That's bottom line. If you want to make a full-time income, you have to work a full-time job. So you are not going to get anywhere by posting and praying. You're not going to get anywhere by being inconsistent. You have to continually work. I am like, every day I have a pen and paper by my bed, and I'm constantly waking up or getting up or just writing down different things that I want to do with my business. I'm not going to say that I'm obsessed with my company, but this is my livelihood. So I am kind of obsessed with it. You know what I mean? This is the job that I want to walk away from my full-time job to do. So you have to be committed to the work, and you have to do the work, and you have to really be, you're going to get out of this what you put in 100%. I'm very thankful that I did have an amazing warm market to start with, but you can create that warm market. You have to become friends with people. You have to have those relationships. You have to work at it. That's really, I don't feel like I'm doing anything other than those things. Yes, my first few sales were my parents and my aunts, and they're all like, oh, she's doing something new, let me help her. But that was last month, and now into this month, all the relationships that I created last month, I'm starting to see the fruit of. So it's not necessarily, you're not going to plant a flower and see it bloom the next day. You have to lay the groundwork. You have to slow, it's going to be a process. But you have to be willing to do those things, and you have to be willing to show up, and you have to be willing to take advice, and you have to be willing to take the no's, sorry, not interested. I mean, that's basically all I'm doing. I'm enjoying myself, And I think that's a big part of it too, is sharing your journey, you know, because that is really what this is. This is a journey. So that's, I mean, that's really all I can say. I'm not doing any magic tricks.
Well, no, that's awesome. I definitely want to open it up to questions. But one of the things that she said, I think might feel like a challenge for some of you when she said, you know, sharing your story and letting them see you. I know a lot of us, especially because this is a business, we always want to put our best foot forward, and we always want to have like, especially because we take so much pride in it, we don't want to put out mess. So it kind of feels like counterintuitive to say, show all your messy bits, but keep it right, keep it tight, you know, run a professional business, show up, you know, as your best self. So it's like a catch 22, but I will tell you, if you're thinking about how to show your mess, think about all of the ways that you feel like you're messing up. Like, I feel like a failure all the time throughout the day. I'm like, okay, I've totally screwed up. My laundry basket has been sitting there for 5 weeks and I still haven't put that laundry away. And so I think about that as like, I can't be alone. And people see me as whatever, the unique yoga lady that drinks a lot of wine. I don't know how they see me, but it changes your perspective when you see that I've got 3 baskets of laundry that have been sitting there. I've literally been living out of baskets for 5 weeks. Like, and there are people that are thinking, girl, me too. Me too. You want to think about ways to show yourself that someone will think, me too. Me too. Right? Who are you talking to? Remember, it's not about you, it's about who you're talking to. So, as part of your homework, I want you to look this week at some of your real life struggles and think of ways that you can showcase that in a way that says, me too. Right? We're eating McDonald's for the 3rd night this week. Okay? Don't you know somebody that will probably relate to that, and it will create the bridge between you and them, because now they're going to stop seeing you as somebody that they watch on Facebook, but somebody that they can relate to. She's just like me. So think about your message being from a place of showing people, being what you want to attract, showing people your like messy parts. Where do you feel like a mess? Were you running late? Did you hit the snooze button 8 times this week? You know, what are these small little things? We overlook them. But the moment you start beating yourself up about it, post about it. That's some of you are gonna choke. It's okay. I love you. It's gonna be rough. You can message me. I'll hug you all the way through. But let them see your messy parts, because it's going to draw in people to know you as a real person. And once they love you, they will buy from you. And when they buy from you, they will sign from you. Okay? Let's open it up for questions, because I know last month Susan promoted pink and blue, and I know that what was it, like $3,000+ in sales, Susan? So did you run any flash sales? I'll ask the first question. It's my show. I'm just kidding.
So I did.
I'm just kidding. This isn't my show. This is your show.
I did run a flash sale.
Yeah.
About a week before the month was over. First of all, I have to say I have an amazing leader. You know, April is really great about getting us involved and showing us ways that we can improve our business and helping us grow. Like, this is not, April's definitely about our people. So we as a group collectively came together and we said, we're each going to do an individual flash sale. The flash sale for me, I only brought in about $400 from the flash sale, but because of the flash sale afterwards, I ended up selling an additional $750. So I think what it was it may not have been the products that people were wanting. So after the flash sale, I said, you know what? I gave the discount in this flash sale, but I'm going to go ahead and extend the discount. So anything that you see, you know, that wasn't in the flash sale, message me and I'll, you know, create, because it was really good. Last month was helpful that you could create any kudos you wanted and get that discount. So that really played to my advantage being new at the company.
Yeah, that's awesome. Does anybody have any questions? Who's struggling with sales and would like to have more sales? Go ahead and ask your question. Yes, Laura. Let me unmute you.
Thank you. I haven't really focused so much on sales yet, Susan. I'm focusing on getting new presenters, mainly because I'm on unemployment and I don't want to earn too much money, basically. So so I'm going to be focusing on that for a while. But when I do, get more aggressive with selling, I guess right now I have a very specific audience I'm targeting, and that's people that have lost their jobs because I lost my job. And I'm also at a place where I'm not sure that I'm going to go back. And it's kind of a time of transition for me. So I actively look for people that have lost their jobs. For example, coincidentally, my friend Claudia ordered a kit and she called me today. She lost her job. So that's kind of like where I'm making connections and it's like my target audience for the, I guess you could say for now. How did you build, like, I know you were with a different marketing company, so you had that target audience. Do you actively reach out to a certain group or certain groups of people, or do they come to you? Like, is it more inbound market, or inbound or outbound?
No, I do a lot of messaging. Like, I am the message bugaboo. And I do actually target a specific group of women. So I'm mostly looking for anybody who I can tell has had some sort of background and has the self-esteem issues. I want to connect with them. So I'm really open about my story, and I think that's probably one of the biggest markets that I've reached out to is women with self-esteem issues, stay-at-home moms, women in their late 30s, early 40s that just need, a change. I think that's, kind of what I've stuck with. But I mean, that's not just by you starting out with that group. Anybody who isn't interested, I always ask, if this isn't for you, is there anybody in your life that is like really into makeup or is on this different type of journey? And so referrals is a huge thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too are kind of waiting for a sign or like, waiting for something to come along that pushes them to change their life. Like they want to, but they don't really have like enough pain, to make it happen. But like if someone like you comes along and they see how much your life has changed, then they're going to want you to almost be a positive, influence or a mentor.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who else has questions about sales?
So one tip, Marie, that I do have, another thing that I've noticed really kind of helps is the more sales you get, obviously, and the more people you sign up, the more YCash you're getting. So with my YCash, I'm designating a portion of that to, I'm running like little contests in my VIP group. Whoever can do this or guess this or whatever can get $25 in YCash. Well, we all know how easy it is to go on the site and pick several things that you want. And obviously it's going to add up to more than the $25. So you want to set that YCash kind of at that $25 mark, because then they're more than likely going to purchase more than that $25, and that helps with the sales as well.
Yeah, and Susan, one thing that I wanted to mention to you is make sure that as your sales are coming in, because she's already got $2,000 in sales this month over that, whatever it is, I don't know the exact number. Make sure that you're putting them on individual rewards links, and as soon as it breaks off 200, close it out and open another one, because that's what's going to keep you with the pace that you're going. You could earn the laptop that they're giving away this month.
Yay!
So That's the
Okay.
strategy, right? Don't put more
Right.
than 200 and maybe 20, what, because sometimes the product, like, it doesn't work out perfect, but
Right.
once it hits the 20, close it out as fast as you can. Don't push it to 3, 4, 5, 600, because
Okay.
you could have had 4 links for $800 instead of 1 link for $800.
Right.
That's how
Okay.
you're going to get your name on the leaderboard.
Yay.
Yes, Laura?
You know what? Could you just explain the rationale behind that for me? Because I actually was thinking that once you got the link to 200, it was more beneficial to keep going with that link and get it up as high as possible. But it sounds like that's not really the case. It's best to close out the link at 200 and start a new one. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say that that's a strategy if you are only going to keep your YCash. Let's just say you're going to have a rewards link for yourself, and you're going to put all your, because you're down on YCash and you want to get a few things and you don't want to have to pay for it, then let it go until you feel like it's whatever. If you got $70, if you get $70 out of it, whatever, that's fine. But I use my rewards links very strategically. I give them away to people for their birthday. Like, let's just say in the month of May, I gave away 9 links, and they were all qualified with 20, like anywhere between $20 and $25 because of how it broke down. But I sent all of those, I reassigned those links to all of those different ladies. And you guys can do this with the June birthdays. You can reach out. You, as soon as it qualifies with $200, you close it out, you give it to someone. There's a way in your back office. We talked about this maybe a month or 2 ago about how to do it. And if you have questions, reach out. Somebody can help you. They have, so then I would send those links. And what Susan is talking about is you give them the link, it's got $22 on it. There is nothing that they can really get for $22.
Right.
I mean, they could maybe get a liner or a lip gloss or something, but most people are going to want foundation, that's $39, or a mask that's $49. So you're going to get sales on top of what you already had by doing that. But be very strategic about who you're giving them to. Don't just give them to anybody for the sake of giving them to anybody. I use them strategically. I give them away to people. I'll say, hey, if you post for me 10 times in a row on your page, I'll give you $25 in YCash. You know what I mean? Like, it's very purposeful on who I'm targeting.
Gotcha. That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, any other questions before we hop off? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, my friends, I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Always reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you next week.